we compiled a list. I asked everybody to get together a list of their top 5 favorite horror franchises. So, I'm sure it was hard to do.
Fucking hard.
Hard. Holy fuck.
So let's get this going. So let's start off with Dave. How about you start first? So you have 5 of your favorite horror franchises. Now, let's start at the bottom of your top 5. So what is your number 5 favorite horror franchise of all time?
My number 5 is the Halloween franchise.
Wow. Now, why is that?
Initially, I had The Evil Dead at number 5, but let me tell you something. It doesn't work because I don't get excited and I'm not that passionate about that series. When I just did the math, here's what I did. Evil Dead, love it. Evil Dead 2, I think it's a great movie. Army of Darkness, not so much. And the remake, I enjoyed. So that's 3 movies out of 4 that I really like. So that's a high percentage.
Right.
Now, but to me, that's not good enough. Because it should be just going by math, but that's why this was so difficult. Halloween made it just because I don't love a lot of them. But I'm excited to watch them. But I hold that series in higher regard. It just invokes something. It's like 1, 2, and 3. Yes, big fan.
Yeah, woo!
1's fucking incredible. 2's great. 3's great. Here's what I'll say. 4, 5, and fucking resurrect them. I could throw them all away. 6 I like. H2O I like. And then, what we said.
And the remake, we like the beginning of it, and we love part 2.
Right, we're in agreement there, Alex. Yes, yeah.
Oh, wait, real quick, as a side note, Jamie, did you ever
Rewatch part 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
She didn't like it.
Okay, so what did you... Oh.
No, I didn't. I at all.
It's so... I don't know. Here's what I don't get, Jamie. You like artsy type shit, and you appreciate cinematography and fucking soundtrack. How did you not think it was so cool?
Because it...
And the gore.
And the character development. I thought you liked that stuff.
The whole... oh my God. So much of it was... I just... Like, by the time I got to the end, that part in, like, the shack or whatever, where he... Okay. I was so done with it by the time we got there that I was bored is what it was. It bored the crap out of me. And it just was bizarre. Like, I just didn't feel like it felt like a Halloween film at all. And I don't know. I just didn't like it. But,
Well, maybe 31 will be good.
I don't know. I did recently watch, what is it? Oh, Lords of Salem again.
Oh, I know you like that.
And I liked it still.
Well, on second watch, it's better.
Nice. But that's similar. It's filmed. It's a well-made movie.
It's because it's its own entity that I'm okay with him taking such artistic license. But I am such a huge fan of the original Halloween 2 that might have something to do with it. I don't know. It could be just a whole myriad of reasons. But mainly, I just think it's not very good.
Wow. It's my 4th favorite of the whole franchise.
Yeah, me too. I like 1, 2, 3, and then Halloween 2, H2.
Me too, exactly. Yeah, and then I'm then 6 and 8, or not 8. Then 6 and 8.
For me, it's H2O is after that.
So we're close, but
So, what is your number 4 favorite horror franchise?
Okay, now what I was just saying about certain movies weighing so heavy that they weigh in almost double. That there's a reason why this made it, because I can't ignore it, and it's the Living Dead, George Romero's franchise.
Wow.
Well, yeah, come on. I mean, the first 3 to me are 10 out of 10, and they're fucking all amazing. It's unfortunate. I'm one of the few that do like Diary. I didn't like Land. The story wasn't bad. I hated the CGI, and I hated what they did with the fucking that Big Daddy character.
Oh, I hated that.
Yeah, it turned me off so bad. But the story in itself isn't bad. He was still taking his fucking, doing typical Romero stuff with the characters and, the political undertones and all that other shit. And I never saw the other one. I just watched like
Survival.
20 minutes of it. Yeah, I watched
I'm like the only
person
in the world who likes that movie.
You like Survival?
I really like it, and I think I'm the only one.
It's too Irish.
Even Corey doesn't like it, and Corey is like zombie guy, and he can't stand it.
I was an Irish zombie.
Well, I love that movie. I have no issues at all with a zombie riding a horse, which seems to be most people's sticking points. But
did you ever see Digging Up the Romero?
Digging Up Romero?
It's where George Romero actually becomes a zombie, and we dig him up.
No, I did not. I will check it out, though. Is it on Netflix?
Banana Laser is actually in the process of writing it.
Oh, all right. Then get on that.
We'll have our hands on that one.
Coming soon. But, I didn't
love it
watch...
when you all have your hands in stuff.
Hell yeah. I didn't watch Survival because I have trouble with period pieces and I have trouble with foreign English-speaking languages. I don't mind Asian movies, subtitles. I just have trouble watching stuff from the UK and stuff from Irish accents and shit like that.
They're not that thick.
No, they're not that thick. I just can't. I don't know what it is.
There you go again with the dick jokes.
It's like what I used to feel with black and white movies and subtitles. I just couldn't conform to it. Maybe someday, as I get older, I'll be able to overlook it. I just couldn't get into it because of all the Irish stuff going on. It took me out of it. But that's that. I mean, and if we're talking about the Night of the Living Dead remake was pretty damn good. Savini's remake. Right, and the Dawn of the Dead remake is one of my favorite remakes.
Zombies don't run, man. Zombies don't run.
Zombies don't run, bitch. No, but seriously, the first three are so fucking high on my list that I would be doing it a disservice to not have it here because the first three are just fucking amazing films. So,
all right, it's your list, man. So what's number 3 of your favorite horror franchise of all time?
Okay, well, number 3 is the Ju-On/Grudge series of films.
I knew that was going to be there somewhere.
I fucking love these movies. Now, there are a lot of them. A lot of people, and it's a shame that people don't know about this because they're hard to find. They really are. It's a shame that they are, but they are.
Well, there's like 3 part 2s, right?
Well, no. You're thinking of Ringu. That's there. But here's what you have. You have Ju-On, The Curse, and then you have Ju-On, The Curse 2. Nobody fucking sees those movies. Then there's Ju-On, The Grudge, and then there's Ju-On, The Grudge 2. And those 2 are on Netflix. So you got those 4 movies. Every one of those movies, in my opinion, are fucking great and scary, and I just love them, fucking beginning to end. The style of that they make them, how they flash back and forth between the different chapters, and they highlight a character and tell their story, and then sometimes you're going backwards, and sometimes you're flashing back. It's hard to, it's a certain type of filmmaking that you have to really love to get into, and the first time I saw the first Grudge one, I was confused. But then I went back and watched the one, and I was like, wow, this is fucking great. I love this type of movie. And it actually scares me. There's actually things in this movie that can scare me. And now Ju-On 2, The Curse, the only knock on it is it's kind of like Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 was. And...
What, they just rehashed the first one?
Half of the movie is fucking stuff from Ju-On, The Curse 1, and the other half is... But the difference is this. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2... The new stuff sucked. It was fucking shit. Where in Ju-On 2, that shit was fucking great. I mean,
Garbage Day!
Yep. And it was great stuff. So then we got those 4 movies. Then they remade them in the States. They did The Grudge, which I really like. They did The Grudge 2, which I really like. Grudge 3, I never watched it. It was the different... Because...
How could you never watch it?
Let me tell you why. Because fucking... Takashi Shimizu did them all. He wrote and directed the first 6. The first 4 Ju-Ons and the first 2. Yeah, but Grudge 3, he had nothing to do with. They had a different Kayako and they had a different Toshio, the main antagonists. Yeah, and it was direct to DVD, so I didn't fuck with it. I didn't want to see it. Then they put out 2 other ones in Japan a few years ago called Ju-On White Ghost and Ju-On Black Ghost. And... No, they weren't on the same level as the other stuff, and they didn't have anything to do with, those others, but they were Japanese movies, and I'll give anyone a chance. And they were good. They weren't on the level of the other ones, but they were good. So I really have been disappointed, and these are great fucking... People say that there's no good ghost stories. Like you hear that, oh yeah, because I've even said it. You know, you got the movies from the 70s. You got that movie Ghost Story, and you got fucking
What about House?
The Changeling, The House, fine. What else? Burnt Offerings, and you know, people say there's no good ghost stories anymore. People that say that, I say fuck you, because I'm sorry, the Ju-On series are ghost stories, and they're fucking amazing. And every person that sets foot in that house, everyone dies. It's the scariest fucking shit. And the stuff that Kayako can do, because she's a ghost, she can do anything at any time, and she does. So, I just love it. It's just scary. She's a great villain, and, you know. Kayako. I can't say enough about it. Everyone should seek these movies out, all the Ju-Ons, because, in my opinion, they're amazing. And I know, Alex, you probably haven't seen them. I think Jamie's seen a couple, but.
I haven't seen the Curse ones, but I've seen the Grudge ones.
Now, did you like the Grudge ones?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fair enough. And you probably would have liked them more if you saw the Curse, because you would know everything that was going on, because it's kind of, you know, the style of filmmaking where they're bouncing back and forth. And
well, and you know, I recently watched, what's that one that I said reminded me of The Shining? We were talking about it on Devour. The same
Tormented.
guy. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, he's good. Have you seen Marabito, his other one?
Mm-mm.
He's made some good movies, Shimizu. He's good stuff. But listen, seek these movies out. It's a shame that they're hard to find. Like, finding Curse 1 and 2 is damn near impossible. Even if you do find them, half the time they don't come with subs. So, you know, I used to have them all on DVD. I got them bootleg from eBay. And when I moved, somehow mysteriously they fucking vanished. Just those 4 movies. Yeah, and I can't get them anymore. So I was able to stream them off some site last year, and I was so happy I did. But anyway, I digress. Ju-On is a fucking amazing series. Not enough people have seen it, and if you're a fan of ghost stories and shit can actually scare you, go for it.
Okay. Good recommendation. What's your second favorite horror franchise of all time?
Okay. This is something that we covered in depth on Banana Laser, and it is the Saw franchise.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you heard what I said. I love the character Jigsaw. I think it's a very smart fucking series, even though a lot of people don't see it that way. I love the gore. I really love every movie. There's 7 movies, and I think that they're all very good except for 2 and 7. And 2 I can watch because 2, I would say Jigsaw in that movie is kind of like what Loomis is in Halloween 4. He makes the movie watchable by the things he's saying. Mm-hmm. You know, and of course it's on a much grander scale because it's all about Jigsaw. But I really love the series. I get disappointed when I see people trash it or say I only saw the first 2 or the first 3 and I stopped and they went on too long and this and that. And
what about when you see them on Blu-ray and they're only like $17 for all the movies, and then you see like Friday it's like $90 for? It just kind of puts it in perspective, like. The world thinks that they're garbage.
We just actually bought all the Saws on Blu-ray. We were because we take a trip to Best Buy like every week just to kill time or sometimes and see if there's anything good that came out. And we came across all that. Neither of us are huge fans of the entire series. For the most part, well, you know how I went through all that on Banana Laser, but. We saw all the Saws for like $17, and he's like, we may as well have them, and because we only had the between the two of us, we only had the first and second one on DVD, so now we have them all. We ever need to watch them again, but
just not all at once, Jamie. Don't do that again.
Yeah, see, that was my mistake.
Yes, watch like one.
Mainlining the Saw franchise is a very bad thing to do.
Oh, it just becomes like dreadful.
It is, yeah. It is very depressing. I mean, I'm telling you, I was in a deep funk. It was god awful. I needed medication.
I'm just glad it took them 3 or 4 months to do the retrospective because I was able to space it out.
Right, and it did, yeah. But I realize that it's not the most popular decision, but I
don't know why you put Saw so high. Why on earth would you put Saw above the Romero movies or the Ju-On movies that you are so into?
You know why?
Are you doing this list backwards? You do know that you're supposed to... Oh.
I know what I'm doing.
Just because there are so many of them and you like them all, so...
Is that what you're thinking?
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at how many movies there are and how I liked almost percentage-wise, right. With Romero, I already said what I felt about the other three. You know what I mean? That came after the original.
But if you were on a desert island and you could take one franchise, you would take Saw above the zombie movies or Ju-on movies?
I hear you, Alex, and that's why this making this list was a son of a bitch. It's.
I think you did it wrong, man. I think you should. Let's stop talking to Dave. You go rework your list. I mean, this makes no sense to me.
It doesn't make why because I love Saw.
No, I don't think you love Saw as much as you love the Ju-ons.
Yeah, but like I said, Ju-on, White Ghost, and Black Ghost, and then which were good. They were fine. But then there was another one they made last year I haven't seen. They're going to make another one. There's the Grudge 3. It just eventually, after it fell out of the hands of Shimizu, they started doing other things.
Yeah, but if there's 3 or 4 good movies, if there's 3 good movies out of, let's just say 7, but you're obsessed with these 3 movies, I think that should be higher than something that has like.
See, I mean, that's the thing is we're looking at franchises on the whole, though, right? I mean, that's what makes it so hard.
So should we be doing the math here? I should have done percentages.
Well, I think because Dave and I both approached it from 2 different angles. You know, we both did math, and then we both looked at the math and then considered how we felt. But I mean, I kind of get that. I mean, with Saw, he pretty much likes them all. And so the franchise on the whole, would rank higher than Ju-on just because there are several that he's not crazy about. I get it.
Maybe I did this wrong.
No, here's the issue, guys. You're taking too much of a scientific approach to this. Here's the thing.
I'm a scientist.
You've seen these movies hundreds of times. Well, maybe not hundreds, but still. Look, this list should have taken 5 minutes.
No.
It's like, okay. It's like, I have the option to get fucked tonight, but I'm going to sit and make a list instead. Come on, people.
Hey,
seriously.
Right.
Jamie was getting fucked while she was going through her list.
Oh!
That's insanity.
They might have been talking about it while they were fucking. So what do you think? Well, this might be a little higher. What do you think? Well, part 3 was a little bit better than
I would stop. If I was the man in that relationship, I would stop.
But baby, the zombies ran in the remake, and that part I didn't like.
You guys.
Well, listen. Look at it this way. If I was going to do it that way, Alex, Paranormal Activity would probably be my number 3. And I'll tell you why. And people think I was nuts, but Paranormal Activity, they only dropped the ball once out of 5 movies. In my opinion, I like them all.
Part
4. But I like 1. I like 2. I like 3. 4 was below average, but not shitty. And 5 I liked. So if I was going to do that, that would be in this spot instead of Saw. Same thing with Final Destination. They only dropped the ball 1 time. But I don't think I can, in good conscience, say that I get as excited to sit down and watch the Final Destination or the Paranormal Activity series as Saw. I'm really, that's what I'm saying. I'm passionate about Saw.
You are?
What the fuck? You listen to the shows. You know how I feel about the Jigsaw character.
I just can't believe that you see Saw.
See Saw?
Like, the same way you see, like, I don't know, I guess, wow, I'm just really nostalgic. Like, to me, even if things are really solid, I gotta go with my heart instead of my brain a lot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, I am going with my heart, because if I was going to tell you Paranormal Activity was my number 4, you would think I was nuts.
That sounds crazy.
That's my example.
I get it, Dave.
Thank you, Jamie.
No, I get it, Dave. I completely understand. I guess I just didn't do it that way.
I just want to put on a good show. Put on a fair list that's representative of what I think.
Of who you are. Right.
Well, that's why I wanted to make all 10, because the other 5 we're talking about, and I'm gonna text them to Jamie because I have a prediction when yours come that some that were on mine.
Man, I just looked at my shelf and said, oh, I like that franchise.
I have too much. It was even tough to make 10. I had 13 at one time.
Dave, you need to stop watching horror altogether. We discussed this.
Well, and Alex just looked at his shelf and he's suddenly like, can I consider Backdoor Hussies 1 through 9?
All right. Jamie Jenkins. Oh, Dave, well, okay, here's what we're going to do with this show.
Should I tell Mike my picks and get his reaction?
Nah, fuck him.
Exactly, that's what I say.
He doesn't care about your scientific notes.
No.
So let's just Dave. What's number one? What is your favorite horror franchise? Mike, seriously?
Yes, sir.
Dave, what is your number? Dave, what's your number one favorite horror franchise of all time?
It's Friday the 13th.
Okay, Jamie.
Yes.
What is your number 5 favorite horror franchise of all time?
This is, oh man, there are people out there who are going to shit, but mainly because of what's not on the list, not because of what is on the list as much. But anyway, first of all, because you brought up Evil Dead, Dave, I want to say that Evil Dead does get an honorable mention. It almost made my list, but in the end, it did not. But in my number 5 spot is The Omen.
Oh, I was so close. Oh,
yeah, I really like that franchise, including the TV movie, which is part 4. It's kind of boring and mainly a rehash. It's more like a reimagining of the first one because it's a new kid and all of that. But I still like it. So there. Yeah, I think a lot of people dismiss the second one.
Love it.
But it's really good because it goes into you really get to see the transformation of Damien when he discovers who he is and what is now laid at his feet. Because as a child, I mean, everyone talks about like, oh, evil kid, and Damien was an evil kid. Well, he wasn't. Damien didn't know who he was. He didn't understand that he was the son of the devil. He didn't get that. He wasn't a bad kid. He was a good kid. He was a nice kid. And part 2, when you see him getting into puberty, he's not a bad kid. But then it's suddenly it is revealed to him who he is and what his destiny is, and you get to see this really amazing scene where I think he's 13 at the time, is basically coming to terms with that. And I think it's handled beautifully, and I think it's really underrated. So anyway, The Omen.
Awesome. I love that. I almost picked it too. The only reason I didn't pick it, I love the fucking Omen series. You've heard me talk about it. I want to cover the trilogy on fucking Banana Laser for a retro. I love it. Part 2 is such an underrated movie. Part 1, everyone knows it's a great movie. Part 2 is so overlooked, it's fucking disgusting.
I saw the remake. I didn't like it.
Well, that
even
brings it down. The remake and the TV movie, which I confess I haven't seen, and I almost watched it yesterday because it's on Hulu or somewhere. So I was gonna watch it because I wanted to, have an accurate list, but I didn't. But maybe now I will. I don't know.
It is a TV movie. Like, it's very TV for the time. But I am very nostalgic about horror TV movies, and we used to get them all the time, and I have a love for them. And so I have a kind of a soft spot for that. And then Brian and I just went through that series recently because I made them. And I have the box set, and you get that one as
the Blu-ray
box set. No, it's actually on DVD. But it also has the remake, so we watched that too. And I don't hate the remake; it's just needless because it's exactly the same movie, almost word for word. It's just not necessary. But I don't think it's
unnecessary.
I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's
it's too tame.
It's blah. It's boring.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's kind of bland.
Yeah.
It's like food without salt. It's just
I can see that. I really like Liev Schreiber though. I'm not so crazy about Julia Stiles, but I really liked what they did with the head chopping scene. I thought that was pretty cool, and there were things about it that I liked. If the first one didn't exist, I think it would be a great movie. It would be perfectly fine. But you compare it and you watch them pretty much back to back like I did, and you see why it is really not necessary to have that remake because the original one is so good. There you go. The Omen. That's number 5.
Wow.
What do you think about the final conflict?
The only issue I have with that film is that at the very end, I think it's just way too quick and way too sudden.
Anticlimactic like a motherfucker.
And like a motherfucker.
Oh,
and
yes.
Devil goes down like a bitch.
Awful. I thought it was a joke the first time. I was like,
Devil. But there are actually some really nice soliloquies that he has when he's talking about, like, when in the room with the candles or whatever. I love that shit.
Yes.
But the end is just like, it's just stabbed him in the back. What is that? I mean, I don't even remember.
Yeah, really, so stupid.
So
but other than that, I liked it.
Right on. It was good. Yes.
I actually want to do a show on that series because there are a lot of things that I'd like to point out about the final conflict that I think are really My number 4. This is crazy. This whole list is crazy. You guys are going to
Halloween!
No. Nightmare.
Oh!
What?
I know, but listen.
Wow.
There's a reason.
The remake sealed the deal.
It's got the first one. It's got the third one, which is so fucking great. Mm-hmm. It's got New Nightmare.
It has the second one, too.
And it's got the remake. And all of those, I think, are really strong. So even though there are several that are not, I think the good really does outweigh the bad by the time, mainly because of New Nightmare and the remake by the time you get to the end. But although the third one is my...
So if you got 4 strong movies, that's pretty much seals the deal for you. Same with me.
Well, it helped. Now, a couple of these franchises ended up being tied as far as how many I liked versus how many I didn't like, or percentage-wise, or however I approached it. And then I had to do some weird moving around. And I thought, well, because like Halloween, as much as I love 1 through 3, there are some that are just so freaking bad. Like the percentage of films in that franchise as a whole that I absolutely don't like, and not even just don't like a little bit, I really don't like them, there's so many, and that includes the 2 Rob Zombies. So if we hadn't been including remakes, Halloween would have made it. If we had, but because we included remakes, that's why Nightmare made it. So it's
well, what about 4, 5, and 6 of Nightmare? How could you like those? Don't tell me.
No, I don't. I don't. But I like the other ones strong enough.
Right.
So, then number 3, Final Destination.
Aha.
Somebody did it.
I just recently went back through that series a couple weeks ago, and they only dropped the ball the one time. I think they dropped it pretty fucking hard. Other than that, that is a really solid series. And Brian did make the point. He's like, yeah, but it's the same movie over and over and over again. I'm like, yeah, but I like it, so it's okay. It is. It's the same idea, but they do put it in different situations, which I think is interesting. I really love the deaths. I mean, the deaths are the heroes of those films. Yes. And I think that they're done really well and fun, and I like the Rube Goldbergianness of it, and I just have a really great time with that series. So, flat out fun.
Yeah.
My number 2 is the Dead series. Because nice. I love Romero. I mean, Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, is my number 2 favorite film of all time. So, obviously had to make it. That entire series, I think, is really strong. To me, the weakest link in that series is Diary, and I have even come around to like that one better than I did. Samuel is a hilarious character.
Yeah.
I love him. I'm one of the few people who actually like Survival, but I pretty much love that whole series, and the remakes are strong, except for Day of the Dead. Night of the Living Dead 90 is fantastic. Dawn of the Dead, even though it breaks the rules and completely changes the rules as far as a Romero film goes versus that film, I still think it's really solid. I still think it's just a really good film, and so it only adds to it. That's a really strong franchise.
Right. What's your number 1 favorite franchise of all time?
Leprechaun. No, it's obviously it's Friday. It's
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, and I know people are gonna be like, nah, I didn't have Halloween, but there are just too many things about that series that, as much as I love 1 through 3, there are just too many bad apples that bring that franchise down. And it's sad, but there were just other ones that beat it up.
And that's our difference right there, Jamie, was the remakes. Because I'm such a fan of half of Halloween, Rob Zombie, and all of H2, that's what made it, was just our difference of opinion on the remake. So if I didn't like the remakes, I'd feel the same way as you. I totally can get that.
It's weird. The worst part about Rob Zombie's remake is what he did to Michael's character at the beginning of it, making him a typical white trash loser, the most cliche storyline to lead to a serial killer, and yet that's the most entertaining part of that movie, because as soon as he tries to remake Carpenter in the second half, or whatever they call it, the second night or whatever, that is the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life, and it's just impossible to watch.
Yeah, it descends into just crap. So,
Sadly.
unfortunately, it's very unfortunate because as much as I love Halloween 1 through 3, and I even like H2O, which, if when we did 98, I was not an H2O fan, but I have since come around to that one. But there are just sadly too many in that franchise that drag it down on the whole, so I just couldn't include it. Not when I had
4, 5, 6, 8 remake. Like that's a lot of bad apples.
And yeah, both I don't like too the H2. So
yeah, and you don't like that one,
yeah. So yeah, remakes. Adding the remakes was kind of a game changer for some of these.
See, I was hoping it would help for some, you know what I mean? But in some cases, it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Jamie's 5 favorite horror franchises, starting from the bottom, is Omen, Nightmare on Elm Street, Final Destination, Romero zombie movies, and Friday is number 1. So I'll start off with my top 5 favorite horror franchises of all time.
Before you do, I texted my top 10 to Jamie, and I predict that 2 that are on my top 10, 6 through 10, are making your top 5.
Really?
I'm putting it out there, yeah. You got it, right, Jamie? Do you have your phone?
Yes, I did.
Okay. That's the reason I sent it. So you could see mine and because of my prediction.
I know
here.
one of them is.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Actually, okay. I know the 2 you're talking about.
Yeah.
Other than the obvious.
Right.
And that
one
of those almost made mine.
We got everybody's top favorite horror franchise. Dave, from number 5 to his favorite, was Halloween, the George Romero zombie movies, the Ju-On movies, that's the Japanese version of the Grudge movies. And his second favorite franchise of all time is Saw. And his first is Friday the 13th. Jamie, from 5 to first place, is Omen, Nightmare on Elm Street, Final Destination, again, George Romero zombie movies, and Friday the 13th, again, number 1. So, yeah, that explains the 25 Friday the 13th shows on the Skeleton Crew. So now I'm going to start up. So my 5th favorite. See, this is really tough for me, but I have to go. It's weird. I had to balance nostalgia, time spent with the franchise, and my heart all in one, and some technical, like you guys did, with how many good ones are there, how many bad out of the whole franchise. So I'm going to say my 5th favorite horror franchise of all time is Sleepaway Camp.
Ha ha! Yes.
You picked it.
I called that one.
Yeah, that's the one that almost made my list.
It was in my top 10. Good stuff.
I'm super excited that the Blu-rays are coming out.
Me too. Just in time for me, because I watch those every year, so
yep.
They're coming out in time for me to be able to watch the new Blu-rays when we get them.
Oh, sweet.
As soon as the summer gets here, I watch them all the time. I try to watch them 2 times every summer.
Awesome. They're on Netflix and Hulu right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, but there's a Blu-ray.
You can't wait. No, I know. I'm just saying. I'm just announcing that they're back on, so it's kind of cool because they were gone for a while.
Yeah, I know. And there's supposedly tons of special features if you guys want to get the Blu-ray of part 1, 2, and 3, actually. But 2 and 3 are the new Blu-rays. I don't know if they're going to do the part 4. Sorry, Jason. I don't know if they're going to invest into part 4. But
I would say no.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. And as far as my favorite franchise, I don't really... Part 4 was actually watchable when we did our retrospective. I don't think about it or anything, and I don't really crave watching it or anything like that. It's just another movie to me. So yeah, Sleepaway Camp. The reason is because from the first time I watched part 1, the ending was so shocking, and luckily nobody spoiled that for me, man. So I was really lucky that day, and I got to watch it with the full effect. And I loved the '80s feeling, and the more I watch it, the more I love it. And we interviewed Felissa Rose 2 times and Jonathan Tiersten 2 times, and they were just you could really feel the connection there. So it's just perfect. And I love Pamela Springsteen's interpretation of Angela Baker. I think it's great. Those movies are the perfect blend of comedy and horror. Not so much part 3. That's more of just a regular 80s B movie, but because of the characters that are in it and continue on, it actually pulls it through. So that's why that works out. It's not the greatest ending of the trilogy, but it's I'm glad we have it. So that's my number 5. My 4th favorite horror franchise of all time is Halloween. Halloween is responsible, I'd say, mostly for getting me into horror at the level I'm at right now. Halloween 1 just changed my life and the direction it was going in, from being a casual fan to being obsessed. So that's that. So that's pretty. So here's the one, Dave, that there's no way this is on your list because you're trying to predict my list, right?
Well, no. I mean, I'm not going to predict them all. If I had to go outside the box and think something on you.
Well, my next.
Do you want me to say it?
You know my top two. Okay, so what was your third pick? What did you think I was going to say for third?
I was going to say fucking Trancers.
I knew you were going to say that just now, but it's not hard. It's more like sci-fi.
Oh, okay, and it's not Ghoulies, I don't think, so
Critters.
It's Abbott and Costello Meet Monster series.
Son of a bitch, why didn't I think about that?
Yeah,
I should have known that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because, people think that's crazy, but if you listened, which I don't know how many people did, they probably skipped it, the Abbott and Costello Meet the Skeleton Crew, that was, these guys did 5 monster movies, these two comedians of the 30s and 40s, and they met all the monsters that were big in the black and white times. So those, we went through every single one of them, and they all got super high marks. I mean, there was really no denying it, right, Jamie? I mean, we gave 5 out of 5 to a huge majority of these movies.
Yeah, well, because they're great.
Right. And how could you possibly not, just thinking about them, I got jacked up again thinking about them. So that's an amazing franchise. I actually created it myself. It's not an actual horror franchise.
Well,
unofficially, I suppose.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I don't know.
I would say it counts. I would say it counts.
It makes sense to be on the list. I'll say that. I don't think anybody can object to it, saying, "Oh no, that shouldn't count." I wouldn't say it because fucking there's lots of movies that have comedy in it just as much horror that people consider horror franchises.
Right.
So why not?
Yeah, right.
I like that.
Now this was the tough one. I think everybody knows my next two, but it bounced around, and I'll just say both of them because everybody knows already. It's between Psycho and Friday the 13th. In the way you guys did technical stuff, I had to take the big picture here when doing this list. And I had to say, although something is my favorite and most connected, what has been the biggest part of my entire life? And what has changed my life? And things like that. And both, it could be said for both. But at the same time, the bigger, much bigger impact and the thing that is just bigger to me, and I don't know how to say it, but Friday the 13th is number 1.
Yay.
And Psycho's number 2. To give reasons, I don't think anybody would be that interested even to figure out like what the minute detail how I came to that. But it's just what it is. I mean, it's just so, Friday is just such a grand scale of things, and there's more movies, and I do like a lot of the later entries and stuff like that, or sort of. And it's just the overall thing of Jason and the whole thing itself, and the first 4 movies are so amazing, and you only have 3 movies of Psycho that are really good, and the 4th one is crap, and then that's it. So there's just so much more of Friday the 13th, and it's such a world in its own. So that has to be number 1. So that is my number 1 pick. So my picks are Sleepaway Camp, Halloween, Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters, Psycho, and Friday the 13th. That's my list from 5th to 1st. For
Very good.
Horror franchises, yep.
All right.
Yep. And Psycho, I mean, to explain, we already did a retrospective on those, so if you want to hear show 46, 7, and 8, I think, you could hear why. That's number 2. And you've heard enough about Friday.
That's for sure. Psycho's in my top 10 as well. So, I'm right there. Sleepaway was, Psycho was. I was closer. The Omen was. All the ones that made your guys' lists were on my
Psycho
top.
and Sleepaway Camp were both painful for me to pair off my list.
Right. Exactly. And it was tough to do. It really was tough to do. And I took a lot longer time than other people because Mike and I were going to do it on the maid before that stopped. So I was taking my time with it. And boy, it was tough to do. I'll tell you that. But, the first 4 Friday the 13th are just too fucking, like I said last show, they're the holy grail of slashers, in my opinion. There's no other way it can't be number 1. Just knowing how, passionate we all are about those movies.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it strange? Nobody had Texas Chainsaw Massacre. One of the
I thought Jamie would have that one. Or Jaws.
I was very close. Yeah. And the thing with that is that there's Next Generation, and then you get this slew of later films, which even though I'm okay with the remake, then you have those two, The Beginning and the other one that I really don't like. But then I do like TC3D. It was just, I don't know, it just got pushed out because it was too, I don't know, it was hard. This is a hard list to make. I wish that I could have made 10.
Right. I wanted to, but they would have gone on long. And
it was just, this is already long enough, so.